How's it going, YouTube? Today we are doing another session review. This time we are looking at a semi-professional player who plays on GG. They play a mix between 1-2 and 5-10, I believe. And today they are for tabling some $2, $5. So let's jump into the action, see how they go. Starting off with a really nice hand. Ace, King, Queen, Jack, 9-8, triple suited. Very nice, playable, beautiful looking hand. Double suited aces on another table as well, so nice start to the video. Anyway, we flopped nut gut shot and nut flush draw, so we bet. I'm fine with that. Get raised. I presume we're just going to go all in unless something really spicy happens. Then we have to think about it. And we don't have to think about anything, so that's nice. If they did shove, I presume we have to get it in, but not going to look too much into it. And let's see how we're doing. Hopefully we're still at least 45%. We're 50. That's good. All right. So run it once. I like running it once against people who are short stacking, who are probably regs especially, but all types, because you just want more money in the games when you're playing the bigger stack. So I like that. And we can go over to table 2 now. Right, so on table 2, we picked up double suited aces. We got called on small blind and going freeway. Again, we got nut flush draw. Goes check. Check. Okay, so I like the bet. I like betting here. Right, so what sizing do we want to use? I actually don't mind pots, given that we can't really be bet folding, so we may as well maximize fold equity, put quite a lot of hands that have decent equity against us in the blender. I probably wouldn't make this sizing, but I do think that pot was all right. You went with 36. That's fine too. Yeah, I think you can do all manner of sizings with a hand like this. And I didn't actually mind going with pot. Anyway, we take it down. That's nice. Table 3, we have trip aces facing a raise and a call. Not the easiest spot in the world to play, but I do like calling normally. However, I just realized stack sizes over our opponents. And now I'm feeling like maybe we should just be folding. So the reason I like calling deeper stacked is that we have plenty of ways to represent having the nut flush, which we could end up bluffing. However, when they're a short stack or like 50 big blinds deep, the likelihood that we get the power of that nut flush blocker, it goes down. So I think the right play here would have been to fold. That's my feeling here, because we only have the one of the aces is suited, then we have 7s and a 4. We're in the worst position. I think it's going to be really hard to play. So anyway, we do call. We got a nut flush blocker. Can't really do much with it. Okay. This might be one of the few times where we can actually use the nut flush blocker to our advantage, where we will actually get folds. But I will say that this scenario won't always play out like this. So I think you will get this through, but in general, I think the calling pre-flop is probably a bad idea. So you bet quite a large sizing. Yeah, I'm fine with the sizing. I personally go normally smaller. But range construction wise, you can do this size as well. This one is becoming much more, you either have the nut flush draw or you don't. Whereas I sometimes get in some top sets with my smaller sizing. Yeah, snap gets it through. Yeah, I still stand by my argument that I think this is too wide against two short stacks, and 100 BB deep, I think it will be fine. So table 1, again we got trip aces. This time, again, only one of the aces is actually suited, but we are in position on someone who has been playing a lot of hands so far. So I don't mind raising it up. It's the limp. Flop nut flush draw. Definitely seems like a good spot to bet. Going with 2/3. Yep, I like the sizing. It's a fairly wet board. If you are going to bet, don't mind the big size. You could check. I don't have a huge preference over betting or checking here. I don't think it's a huge mistake if you wanted to check back here, without being that you don't have too many 5/6s. You don't really want to bluff really wide here. Here, obviously, we're just playing our equity. Turn now, our aces has some form of showdown value, so I think we should take that showdown value. I wouldn't be betting anymore. So yeah, that's good. And now we've rivered the nut flush. There is some straight flushes, there is some quads, there is plenty of full houses, but I do like value betting here. I would go half pot, which is basically what you did. And if you get raised, then just fold. You've got better hands. You can easily have 5-3, pocket fives, straight flushes, quads, you name it, you could still have it. Yeah, don't need to worry about it too much. You could have nut flush draw and 2-pair, nut flush and a free. So yeah, don't need to call this if you were raised. So you've got ace, queen, jack 10, 8 on the cutoff and make a fold. Let's say we weren't even on the cutoff, we were on the middle position instead. I still would raise a hand like this. It's all connected. The ace is a nice suit. Like, it's just 2 of this clubs. So yeah, there is no way I'm folding this. Let's pull up the calculator. Yeah, so with the playability rankings, this is a top 15.5% hand. I would play this from any of the positions. It's just so nicely connected, double suited. I just can't stress how easy and open that is. I guess one good thing that is to come from this is that we do have a preflop trainer that is soon to be available for everyone with Grinders Vault subscription. So you'll be able to train these spots, cut off open raise, MP open raise, and just get a better sense of what you can open from what positions. So yeah, I think that will be a big help in range construction for preflop, which obviously will help in postflop situations. I think that if you're missing out on hands like this, then we're probably going to need to look out for hands that you're potentially overvaluing, because from what I've seen from the percentages that you have, preflop VPIPs, they're quite high. So that probably means that we've got a problem where we're overvaluing certain hands compared to others. All right, so I think I found exactly what I was looking for, explaining why you might be playing too many hands. So here we have 2 quite active players raising. You do have a triple suited rundown type hand, but you are on the small blind. So I would say that here I think it's okay to call, honestly. But if you're quite clearly happily calling here, and then on the other table missing the raise, the open raise, I think that we might have some leaks with preflop understanding. Not to say that this is a bad call, but the fact that you didn't really think about it too much, you just quickly called. You do have a short stack behind you, so this crap could happen. I think this is the type of hand that can't go anywhere anymore. You're gonna have to ride it all the way. So at this point, I think it's fairly. Let's think about this. Is it a spot where we want to start running our equity? It might be a spot where we should be reshoving. I think it's worth looking at in the calculator and just to see how we would be doing against specifically this range. Let's have a look. Right, so when we run the spot where we are assuming that the big blind squeezer is pretty strong, and then we got the quite loose guy on the button with the overcall. We're already at a point where we can be shoving, but we're also at a point where we should be quite decently ahead of the button's overcalling range. So I think, and we have the worst position. I think this is a spot where we should be re-squeezing. Might seem counterintuitive, but it's just that it's quite hard to play being first to act in a freeway pot. That said, the short stacker will have a tiny amount behind you, so you can just check range. But yeah, I think I would just be shoving here. I think this spot here is going to be quite nice to basically realize our equity in a spot where normally it's quite hard to do so. And we're not really worried about anything at this point. We should be still doing all right against aces, and our opponent here has not shown any sign of strength from what I can see. So yeah, I think that's what I would have done here. Let's see what you do. Make the call. Okay. Well, I mean, flop like that, that's good. We don't need to worry too much. In this spot, I would just be checking range because we got a player behind us with only $15. The likelihood they're going to be putting that in is, I would imagine it's over 90%. So we don't need to do anything other than check. That will allow us to see more information. More information is good for us. So what do we do? Okay, we are leading out. I think that that's a fairly big mistake because you have to be saying that you have equity because you've got a person behind you who is definitely committed to this pot. So I would much prefer checking to the person who's almost definitely putting it in, then seeing what our opponent on the button does before making our decision. Now, with a hand like ours, I think our decision will always be we raise whatever happens. But there is a chance where this player in the big blind will make it the $15 they have left. Button will then re-raise and we can just happily get it in. Which is something that we would like, I think. Yeah. So I think it is a mistake. And you got one caller, two callers. Okay, so now that we have got two callers, there's 600 in the pot. We are completely unsure of what if a heart river would be good. So I think the only option here is just shove now. And I saw something on table 4 which surprised me as well. And again, table 4. So we'll look at that in a minute. 100% equity. I like that odds. Those are the kind of odds I can get behind. So yeah, whilst everything went well, I think there was a few mistakes in that spot. Let's go over to table 4. Right, so here we are up against a small blind open raise. In this spot, we can be quite loose against the raise. From what I remember, we can play about 70% of our hands from a spot like this. So this so easily makes the cut. It's not even close. So I would say that the player who sent this in, I think we can get some easy additions to the win rate just by going over to Grinder's Vault and trying out the Preflop Trainer. It's going to have all the scenarios like this to help you understand how wide you meant to be, what constitutes for those hands, what is the threshold spots, see what your mistakes are. You can just play like a couple of hundred hands and then see where you're making the biggest mistakes. Yeah, I think this is quite clear because so when we had the other pot, I saw that you made a fold here, which is definitely a mistake. So yeah, we got a loose opponent, raising button, 50 big blind stack. I'm definitely free betting this. Not close. I think this is a definite kind of hand that we want to free bet. Yeah, especially against loose openers. And if we don't open it, not sure I like leading, but I don't think it's terrible. Okay, yeah. If you know something about them, maybe you know they're passive, they don't bet much, then sure, we can lead. Yeah, fine with that. But I would have played it as a free bet. Again, something that you can learn with the Preflop Trainer. I think that would help out there. All right, so now on table 1, we've got our loose player Limping MP. At this point, I'd probably mark them as a recreational. We've decided to isolate or try to isolate them. And we flop a wrap, but no spades. And it checks to us multi-way. And we don't take a stab. Given that we don't have spades, I don't mind not stabbing. Let's say we had a queen or a jack of spades. Even just pushing it a little bit like higher like that, I would then start betting here. But yeah, I'm fine with the check given you don't have any blockers to those kind of flush stuff. You've picked up another straight draw on the turn with 8-7, but you're facing a pot bet. It will become a fairly easy call if they call, but without them calling, I think it would be quite a tough spot, honestly. At this point now, we just got the odds for lots of hands that can hit the nuts, so we just take it as a call. And we folded. And we would have hit the nuts. Classic. Yeah, I think we just have the odds here. We don't need to think too much here. We can even turn our hand into a bluff if we miss and something else comes in and everyone checks. Like, yeah. I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think that this is a good play. How bad is it though? Right, so we're getting. So we need to put 71 in to win. $284. Yeah, I think this is fairly easy call. I would say. Just trying to think what kind of rivers could we bluff, because we don't have a spade. Would I still bluff a spade? Let's say it went a spade and then they both checked. Do we want to go for it? Probably not, because recreational players are harder to get off flushes. Yeah, I think it's just a spot where you have the odds and you have implied odds, because, for example, if a river comes like this, I think you will get called by quite a lot of stuff that you beat. So yeah, you see here, 7-3 would definitely have called. And so how would this have gone if we'd gone freeway? I'm gonna guess it will check to this guy who will then bluff, and then we would end up probably flat calling, because it doesn't make sense to do anything else, and then we'd get this guy to call behind. So it would have been a really, really high V spot for us, unfortunately. Down on table 4, we've got a raise and a call. Loose player open raised. Potentially loose player on the button calls. We've got kind of mediocre aces. They are double suited, but not to the ace. 10-4-2 is not that nicely connected. So we decide to flat from the small blind. I'm okay with it. I think I would still free bet it, but I don't think it matters too much. It checks through, and on the turn we've picked up nut flush draw. So these spots, when I have recreational players behind me, I am much less likely to check, because of what the recreationals like to do, which is bet big, bet pot when they bet, which will then put us in a really bad spot of indifference / gotta fold for our hand. So here I would personally come out firing myself. In theory though, check should be fine. And the sizing that I would use here would probably be quite small. Basically, I'm just trying to give myself the odds to hit my hearts, while at the same time having lots and lots of value in that smaller sizing. So if we want to talk about what kind of range I'll be betting here, I would be betting set of jacks, set of sevens with a jack. I would be betting the 5-8 straight. We could even bet the 5-3 straight, I think, once it's checked through, when we use a small sizing. So we're very value heavy if we do that. And then this would be basically the bluff portion of it. And then we can just decide on the river if we would want to continue that bluff story. However, it checks through. And we've completely bricked. We don't have a 5. We don't have an 8. So yeah, I'm just going to give up once we've checked. If it was just a reg only table, I think I don't mind checking turn, unless you know the regs behind you like to bet pot in those spots. You have to keep an eye on that kind of dynamic stuff, of like how different regs play things. But yeah, once it had checked the turn, I think you got to check the river. All right, so we pick up ace king, queen 9-9, 4, double suited, nicely double suited. So I think we should be calling here. Reason I want to call is I would imagine that the two people in the blinds are recreational players, and the razor I think looks like some kind of reg, given they're on all 4 of the tables that we're playing right now on the video. We flop middle set and a nut gut shot. All right, so here, I don't mind the bet at all. Don't need to talk too much about it. You could check, but yeah, just betting is probably the easier play. Turn is not great. So any jack spoils the fun for us. Nearly any jack. Any six. So at this point, we have to think, what kind of stuff will we start turning into bluffs? I don't think this makes the cut because we can just check back, sometimes fill up, sometimes hit higher straight, sometimes win with our set of nines. So I think I'll check behind. River's not anything great. I don't really like the idea of doing anything other than giving up. Is what you good. Sometimes we can't fight for every pot sometimes. As much as it hurts. So I'm a little bit confused why you would fold some of the other hands, but then call a raise with this. I have to say, that is quite confusing to me. Yeah, I don't think it's a particularly a mistake, but compared to how tight you were playing in other places, seems a bit odd. I don't mind if you were to free bet this as well as flat call. Checks through, we've got the 9-7, 6. We have the 4, and we're deciding to bet. Yeah, I think the bet is fine. Can we always do it? We probably can in these games. We've got the diamond nut flush draw. We've got 9-7-6, and we have the 4. And everyone checked the flop. And the initial raiser checked the turn as well. So yeah, I don't mind betting, but if we do get called by the initial raiser, it's quite likely we need to fire again on the river because we're looking at someone having a lot of aces and kings in their range. So we really want to attack that. I don't know if it will fold directly on the flop. On the turn. So we would have to double barrel if we're going to be betting here. But I do like the bet. Nice hand. Okay, down on table 3 we have ace jack jack 10 free free, and we go for a limp. Probably raise it myself, but limp should be okay. Flop, we flop bottom set, and we're now betting. It's kind of a mergy bet. Am I too worried about it? No, I wouldn't play it like this, but I think it's fine. You're going to be doing a lot of bet folding there. Table 4. We got aces double suited with trip kings. Quite a funny hand. Yeah, still worth an open though, obviously. Take it down, good. Table 1. We're facing another limp. And now we've got ace 10 10 9 8 6 double. And we ISO it. I like that. It's good. I guess we could in theory call as well, and that wouldn't be terrible. And now bad flop for us, and we face a decent sized bet, so I think folding is the right play. The main issue we have there, like, it could be theoretically close to a call, but in our games we know that the person who bet is just going to always bet the turn, so it's not close. It's an easy fold. Down here we have just called a raise. Yeah, called a raise with double suited kings, flop 2 pair, and open ender and the overcard and lead out. We got the flush draw as well. Do I really want to lead out here? I don't think so. I think the problem we're having right now is that it seems like you're leading out too much of your value, which then means that when you do check, you're kind of capped. You're also putting yourself in a spot where you get raised. You're not that happy about it, but you have to call. Yeah, I would say this is more of a frequency issue for me rather than the actual hand. So I would be, if I was doing coaching with you, I would be looking at in database, like how frequently are you doing this, making sure you're not getting over the top, making sure that your checking range is not completely weak, that you're not check folding too much, that you're not easy to exploit. But the hand in a vacuum seems fine. We've got a call and a raise. There's no real way out of the hand for us. And the person who called didn't show much strength in calling. So I think I would play this as a... Ooh. I think I would play this as a get it in. I'm not too concerned about them having... I think the only hand we're really worried about is nut flush draw. And those nut flush draw hands that have better than Jack 4 anyway probably would have raised us already. So yeah, I'm probably just reshipping here. And that's what we do. Good. Hopefully we push them out. That's what we want. Nice. All right. Good. That went pretty nicely. Has to be said. Right, so last hand here we got aces, single suited, and call. We got top overpair and check. And it checks through. We have the ace of clubs, we have eights, we have aces. I would not mind making a small bet here to protect us from the lower flush draws that will then fold if we do so. So I would go with a small bet of 1/3 pot. If we are called, I am expecting most of that range to have some kind of queen in it. So I will be slowing down and giving up to any aggression unless it's tiny bets. So yeah, I do like the idea of betting just to remove those hands that have really actually quite decent equity realization against us because we don't have club ourselves. Also, they've both got 6 cards. Possibility that they could hit full houses on the river, not great as well. Us having the 3 is nice. Stops them from having randomly hit pocket threes as much. Yeah, I would just go for a very small bet. Because now when we're facing this half pot bet, it's not really that nice of a spot. Do we call? Do we fold? It's not really that obvious. We need to know a little bit more about our opponent to decide whether we should call here or not. Then again, if they're even like quite aggressive, so they carry on the river, then we probably have to fold there as well. So yeah, I think if we bet small, we've got all of our full houses in there as well, all of our good trips, queens in there. It's going to be very hard to kind of bluff us off. Whereas if we check, it's a lot easier for them to bluff us off. So yeah, that's my opinion on the matter. I did say this was the last hand, but let's look at another last hand. We have squeezed with double suit aces against the short stacker and potentially a recreational on the button. Looks like we're going three-way to a flop. And we get a classic kind of bad flop, kind of okay flop. Got two backdoor nut flush draws, gut shot, overpair, SPR 2. Not the easiest spot in the world. Do we run it? Do we not? I think we have to run this, just given the SPR of the situation. Now, if I know that the short stacker is particularly aggressive, like I know that they're going to just shove every single time, which there are a decent amount of them, I would be tempted to check to just see, because if they shove and then the other person reshoves, our hand is definitely not good enough. We're going to get it in a terrible shape. So in those kind of spots, I would just check. But here, given I don't know the person, I think we just want to run it. Checking, yeah. Checking and then calling against this person seems fine, and folding if they both go in seems fine too. But I don't know enough about the opponent to know whether they just always shove or not. They check, so they don't do that. Now we have a really easy mash pot, I think. And we check. So I really don't like this check here because we got the nut flush draw, so we basically always have 20% equity. Then we've got the gut shot, so we probably have another 10%, but could be less. So we're looking at like somewhere between the 25 to 28% against certain ranges of hands that basically make it really, really hard for us to decide whether to call in these spots or not. Whereas if we just bet it ourselves, we don't have to think too much. And we can get plenty of hands that have good equity against us just out. Like if someone's got 10-7, 10-5, bunch of 9-8-6 type hands, we can get them off fairly easily. The queen, jack, 9 with, let's say, a king. Queen, jack, 9 with a king would have got it in by now. Let's say with a 10. Like those hands have decent equity against us, but they would just be quite likely to fold at this point. So now we're just hoping that doesn't shove, I guess. And now, yeah, we can't fold. I don't think we can fold here at all. I don't think that that's a spot we can fold. So we can try and figure out their range. Right, so we want to try and figure out what they check the flop with and then bet the turn with. So given the SPR, I don't really expect people to be slow playing on a king 10-5 board, even if they should in theory be doing so. So I'm looking more at hands that are like the king 7, king 5, 7-7 type hands more than anything. So we're just going to put king. We're going to put 25% which was their opening range, and then king 7, king 5, and 7-7, and then we got like the queen jack 10 type stuff that might have decided to bet now that they've got, let's say they've got 2 hearts and heart. That kind of range. And against that we need 30, about 30%. So yeah, we got 37 against that range. Let's make it really strong for some reason. Let's add kings in and 10s. Even when we have kings and 10s in there, we've got the equity here. So I think this is a last clear mistake. I think this is a really good showcase of why using tools like this can help your win rate, especially when we get into higher stakes, because this is a real loss of money here. If we think we've got, let's say we've got 34.5%, which I think we'll have more than 34.5%. Let's say we got 34.5%, and we're up against the bet size that we were up against, which is 168 into 212. So we want to call 168 to win 548. We need, let's say we need 31%. We're missing out on 5% equity in this pot. So 5% of 548, this is napkin math here, times. We're missing out on $27 just from one spot in one hand. That you can quite quickly learn with a tool like this. So yeah, I'm glad that I could showcase the use case out of it in this session review. Before we go, I want to share with you the Preflop Trainer. Right, so here's the Preflop Trainer. We're going to play 4 tables with a time bank, and basically I want to show the main way that I would use this program at the moment, because you will find a lot of the time that there will be generally 1 or 2 spots that will come up repeatedly where you realize you don't know what to do. So let's fast forward. Right, so we played for 4 minutes. Got a bunch of different spots. We got 95% accuracy. But what we really want to do when we're doing these training sessions is more looking at the macro of where am I making the leaks. So we go to mistake review, and we can see that I may have made a few mistakes here and there. So here I've got folded instead of raising from the hijack with a suited ace, suited king. I can see why I did that how that's wrong. We got one here where I raised single suited aces from the small blind. You could argue whether that's a raise or not. So yes, the playability rankings at the moment are not like perfect, but really what you want to look at is in the macro. Let's say you train 500, 1000 hands. You start to notice a pattern recognition of where you're screwing up. So for me, it's always, since I've started the trainer, first of all, I was raising way too wide here. I was doing loads and loads of mistakes here. But more recently, it's coming to the point where from the big blind, I am probably too loose, and it's really starting to show. Then again, I've got spots where I should have folded instead of called instead of folded instead of calling. So you can, if you've made like hundreds of mistakes in a row, let's say you've just been training for hours and hours and hours, you can go through and just train those mistakes only, or you can just go for just training this spot if you wanted to. I'm actually just going to look at the individual hands here. So here we've got a hand, small blind versus big blind. We folded instead of calling. Now, I would say that in this spot we want to be playing almost 70% of hands. So this, I think, clearly fits in there. So I think this is a clear mistake. Just looking at the frequencies, I should be free betting about 10% and calling 70. Yeah. Then we've got here, I called when I should have folded. Yeah, I think this again is pretty clear. I don't know if I would rank it this badly, but yeah, it's, well, actually I changed my mind. It's got a 2 dangler, not very nice. It's 4 hearts, and then the 10 is only a 10 suit. So yeah, actually maybe it is pretty terrible. So yeah, 2 loose there. And here I folded instead of called. Here, this is a very close spot, this one. I think just because of the connectivity, it's suggesting to call here. I'm not as bothered about this one rather than the others. But really what I wanted to show you is how you can use the trainer, how it can help you out. It can very quickly show you if you're making huge mistakes, which I was in raise first in, just being way too wide. So when this comes out, I hope you will all enjoy it. Anyone who's got subscription to the Grinders Vault PLO6 calculator will get access to this on top. The main reason that we did the monthly sub was so that we can get a lot of feedback into what people wanted, and basically 90% of the feedback was we need more pre-flop stuff. So here it is. Here's a trainer. Should be out fairly soon. If you want to grab this early access version, then just message us on email and I can send you over. But be aware that there are some small bugs, especially with different screen sizes at the moment, which we're trying to sort out before we push it out to everyone. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments if you thought differently about any of the hands. Let us know how you thought our player played here on 2-5 on GG. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.